Well, no one ever accused me of turning down a drink, but the old-fashioned is not a drink I've had too often, and one I've actually never made. So I was intrigued when Alan Katz, owner of the New York Distilling Company, offered to show me a few interesting twists on the historic cocktail.
So tell me a little bit about the history of the old-fashioned. It goes a way back, right?
It does. It goes back really to the 19th century. And it's interesting for me as a contemporary bartender because the old-fashioned in its origins was an antidote, to overly concocted and overly sweet or overly frilly cocktails. And it's really a stripped down, delicious, basic drink in just a few essential ingredients.
Okay, so there is a way to make it, and that's why we've got you here today. So let's start with the old-fashioned with rye.
Sure. Well, I'm going to use our rye. It's called Ragtime Rye, which we make here in Brooklyn. And I'm going to start with 2 ounces of rye whiskey, one of the great historic American whiskeys, a 1/4 ounce of really rich syrup. I'm using a sugar called Demerara. Use whatever sugar you have at home. But when you make the syrup, you want to do 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. And I'm going to add 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. You can use Angostura, you can use orange. You might want to use something local like Scrappy's. What a great bitters. And that's it. We're going to stir it over ice.
Now you stir it, not shake it?
Nope, we're going to stir this and just incorporate the ingredients together. We're going to dilute them a little bit, and we're going to get them really cold. And that's the fun of this drink. We're just cutting the edge off the whiskey. And I'm using one of our styles of rye that's 100 proof. It's called Ragtime Bottled in Bond. And that's it. And I've got a cocktail glass here that's already garnished, an old-fashioned glass, actually. And the best part is, in an old-fashioned, you really taste the authenticity of the whiskey. The sugar is meant to give a little accent, not to make a sweet drink.
Got it. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Second drink is the old-fashioned with a split base. What is that?
Yeah, well, split base is when we use 2 different spirits as the focal point of the drink. So rather than 2 ounces of Ragtime Rye, I'm going to use 1 ounce of Ragtime Rye. And since we're getting close to St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to use 1 ounce of Irish whiskey. This is Redbreast, but there's so many delicious types of Irish whiskey. So equal parts, 1 ounce rye, 1 ounce Irish whiskey, and then the same formula, quick 1/4 ounce of our rich, simple syrup, 2 dashes of bitters. And again, we're just going to stir this over ice. And if you're doing it at home, I would count to at least 30. There's no rushing this, except for a television segment, where you want to get it cold. And as I said, not just cold, but diluted, because you don't want to have just 1 cocktail.
Right.
And that's it. Here we go for round 2. And because Irish whiskey has a little bit more fruit on the nose, sometimes citrus, sometimes a little bit of peach aroma, I'm just going to leave a simple orange garnish. And you can smell that. And the 2 together make a really interesting combination. You can use Irish whiskey. You can use American single malt whiskey, a smoky Scotch whiskey. Just switching it up a little bit can be fun.
All right. I'm here for it. All right. The last one is a Rock and Rye.
All right. The last one, Rock and Rye is our homemade concoction that really goes back in American history to the same time frame where the old-fashioned comes from, mid to early 19th century. And once upon a time, every saloon worth its salt would have had its own version of Rock and Rye, a combination of rye whiskey and rock candy sugar. So this is already sweetened. Our version is called Mr. Katz's Rock and Rye, and we bottle it at a much lower proof. So we call this in modern times an RTD. It's ready to drink. It's like a bottled old-fashioned. And that's it. We're going to, still mellow it with a little bit of ice, strain it right into our old-fashioned glass. And if you don't want to go through the work or figure it out, you just pour Rock and Rye over ice. You want to find an authentic Rock and Rye that's made from all natural ingredients.
And we've got the recipes for the old fashions on our website. And I love that they used rock candy to make this whiskey. How cool is that? Well, I'm going to be giving it a try because we are staying on the whiskey train. Up next, producer Joseph joins me and we are going to whip up a few more of our favorite cocktails. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, you know there was no way we were going to let this whiskey go to waste. And I know how much executive producer Joseph Suttner loves a cocktail. And he's going to share a favorite in just a minute. But first, we are going to try the Rock and Rye that he mentioned.
I'm excited to try this. I've never tried it.
So I haven't either. This is really interesting. So basically, it is rye whiskey and rock candy. Okay?
Great.
So I'm going to just pour this. Should we pour it over ice?
Well, we got those two over there.
Okay, so I'll just pour it in here and we'll try
yeah.
it. He did mix it around with ice. So actually, you know what? Give me a little bit of ice in there. He was talking about how he can send it anywhere in the country.
Oh.
Their whiskeys,
Yeah.
which is actually really good because oddly enough, folks, Rock and Rye, you can't get it in Washington State, and I will tell you why. Apparently back...
Oh, that's good for me. Thank
Are
you.
sure?
Oh, well, you know.
I like to... Give me that spoon.
Yes.
So apparently back in the 20s and 30s, people were using it for medicinal purposes and overusing it, getting a little crazy,
Got a
getting
little too weird.
silly,
Yep.
gotten a little too weird. So then what they did was outlawed it. So you can get it in Oregon, but again, our good friend told us he can send it here, and obviously he did because here we have it on New Day Northwest. All right, you try that.
Okay, I'll wait for you to
All right.
join me.
And I like diluting things. I'm not going to lie. I'm the kind of girl who sometimes, if it's not a great wine, I will add ice
Cheers.
to my wine.
Okay, let's give this a shot.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice. It's sweet.
It's sweet. It's
kinda-
whiskey. It's
it cuts-
definitely whiskey.
It cuts that, bitter alcohol flavor.
It does. Oh,
Yeah.
it does. You
I
could
love
sip
whiskey,
this.
though, so.
You do love whiskey. But
Yes.
this is actually really good. I did not anticipate that.
Yum.
Okay, so you have the regular whiskey over here.
Yes. So before we just saw him make old fashioned, I'm
Right.
going to make you a whiskey sour. But the reason I got into these kind of drinks, I love wine, but did you know my favorite drink is actually beer?
No.
But I had to stop drinking
Because
it
you
because
don't
of gluten. And so that was a very sad moment for me.
Oh, I'm sad
I know,
for
but it's
you.
okay. But I discovered, there's other drinks out there.
There sure are.
And I love an old fashioned, but sometimes it's like liquor on liquor on liquor.
Yes, that's a lot.
And you
It's
want something a little bit more basic. So the
Okay.
whiskey sour, very easy to whip together. So we'll make it here. Here's one for you.
All right.
Let me make one. So it's 2 ounces of whiskey or bourbon.
Okay.
Just dump that into your shaker with some ice.
You know what I learned actually by working here
What's that?
is that most drinks that anyone tells us to make is 2 ounces of liquor, and I usually only make drinks with 1 ounce. So.
Well, And then we got 3/4 ounce of simple syrup.
Okay.
Just give it a little sugar. And then you know what? It's just a little bit of lemon juice, so about 3/4 ounce of that as well.
Okay.
That's it. You got some ice in your shaker. Pop this on.
Careful with that shaker.
Yep. Give it a little shake.
Okay.
And then you just pop that off. Some whiskey sours use egg white also in it, which gives it a little bit of frothy.
Yes.
That's a little fancy for me.
Right.
So,
and sometimes it depends on if you can
Yeah.
handle egg in your
yeah,
diet.
some people don't like it, but it is good if you like it. And then I just
Just a fresh orange slice.
throw a little orange in, and then cheers.
Cheers.
So tell me what you think. You've never had this.
I've never had a whiskey sour before. This moment right now. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yay, new drink. How
Yeah.
fun.
And it's just real easy to whip together.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't have the bitters like the other.
But look how
old-fashioned.
fancy it looks. Oops, I just moved it out of the camera shot. I'll put it right back there.
Yeah.
It looks so fancy.
Nice and refreshing, not too heavy. Because some people don't like the old fashions. It's way too powerful. This
Right.
is light and easy.
Great for a summer day as we're heading into spring. We're already thinking about summer.
There you go.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that. All right. Well, coming up, the secret to smiling confidently in as little as 24 hours. We will be right back with that and more. Stick around.
Cheers to that.